The opportunity coming up this Friday at Purdue, obviously a great venue, it will be a great environment against one of the best programs in the country. So it'd be a good barometer for us to see where we are going on the road to play the Boilers.
James, you want to start us off?
Yeah, a couple things. I know you guys would rather hit singles more than home runs. I guess just where does Vlad's three-point shot rank on that scale, and just how comfortable are you with this decision-making, picking, choosing spots?
To be honest, step-in threes, I thought we turned down a lot as a group yesterday. As far as offensively, we're searching for a rhythm and I guess a decision-making process that the decisions are made before the catch. And last night, I thought the ball stuck a lot. I thought we caught and looked for our own game. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for Vlad to shoot threes because fives gravitate towards the rim. And so the decision-making piece will be big. And even when we're playing with Vlad and that delay spot, that trail spot of looking for the actions, looking for the cutters, and then if they're not there, then falling into some isolation drives and some different levels of creation. So we're all still learning each other and diving into deeper, diving into different roles at a deeper level. So I wasn't happy with our flow last night, but as far as Vlad shooting threes, if it's a step-in three and he's open, I mean, he's gonna make it more than 1 out of 3 opportunities, and that's good enough to shoot it.
And when players go from like non-power forward to power forward, kind of like Danny and Vlad, I think there's always a question about like a drop in production, but those guys, a lot of their numbers are similar or even better. I guess just why do you feel like they would implement that jump, not a drop off?
Great question. I think the situation's different for everyone, and styles of play, system, and I know Danny coming from Yale, their pace was much slower, so his production might have been a little bit greater there when you factor in the number of possessions. Vlad, for us, he's probably even more involved here than he was there, just because of the way our roster's constructed. Last year we had a lot more smaller guards who were great playmakers by nature, so they would play make a lot more. And now Namari Burnett's really became a proficient scorer playing off of those guys. So it's a lot of it's situational. Part of it's their development. Those guys have spent time in the gym, in the weight room, working on their bodies, whatnot. And so they're much better basketball players. And it's just the way the way it's played out for us.
In the back with Charles.
Yeah, I know the conference schedule is always a grind, but it seems kind of magnified coming off back-to-back overtime games. How can you use the next few days to prepare for Purdue, but also kind of get fresh?
That's the happy medium. We're taking today off. Hopefully the guys stay away as much as possible, and then tomorrow get back after it with a real solid plan for what we're going to see and what we need to do. And this is one of our longer breaks of the season. This is the most prep time we'll have. So we'll work on us. We'll work on Purdue. And at this time of the year, you're trying to fix problems because the teams in our league, the coaching in our league, is so good. They find some holes in what you do, and now we have to counter that and continue to get better.
Austin.
You mentioned fixing problems. You mentioned that yesterday as well. What's at the top of the list for you now that you have a sample size of some Big Ten games to look at?
Our rebounding has to improve. We've got to find ways to be more disruptive on the defensive end. We've had to force a few more turnovers to try to find some easy baskets. But offensively, just playing, we have to screen better. We have to cut better. Most of us hadn't been in the Big Ten for a long time, so there's certain things that you forget. And I catch myself saying, "Oh, next fall, next summer, we'll work on this more." But we have to play with much more physicality in our league. We have to adjust to the game better, and so we can't get knocked off our screens. We can't pull away from screens. We've got to be the aggressor when it comes to playing with physicality, and we have the size and bodies to do it.
Alejandro.
I imagine you haven't looked too much at this Purdue team, but Matt Painter's been in the league for a while. When you've watched his team, what stands out the most about how he coaches out Purdue?
I mean, I think he's as good of a coach. I don't ever say anyone's the best coach because there's so many great coaches, and there's 360 plus Division I teams now. But I think Coach Painter's one of the best coaches in all facets. I mean, I guess you picture what great coaches are. He's a great teacher. He knows what he's looking for in recruiting. his humility, the staff he's assembled around him. He's excellent in all areas, and for him to have the longevity and build the type of program where they're this good every year is extremely difficult. I mean, they've climbed a mountain, and now they're managing to stay at the top of the mountain pretty consistently. So, I can't say enough good things. It's an honor to compete against them, and we look forward to going in there and seeing what we're made of.
Tony?
I guess building on the Purdue question, you obviously have a long history with them. Is there a favorite or maybe least favorite memory from when you were in Indiana and going to Mackey? Any date that stands out?
They're all bad.
Okay.
Those guys, that arena is going to be. We better have our hand signals ready. We better be poised. We better meet every pass. We better have our fakes and footwork on point. But it's as tough as an environment as there is in the country to play in. I think anyone that knows that. So anyone's played there, competed there, knows that. So we got to work cut out for us. But like I said, we're anxious to see where we are.
And then looking ahead, I know you can't look too far ahead, but 12 of the next 13 games the rest of the way are, I think 10 are quad 1 and 12 of the 13 are quad 1 or quad 2. Just, I mean, when you think about that and the Big Ten, what's coming, how do you sort of frame how you've looked, where you're at, and where you want to be?
It's exciting on one hand. The other side is our physical health, our mental health, our stamina. It's from a coaching standpoint, not to get too high, too low. From a player standpoint, to not be consumed with a good game or a bad game, and just continue to work, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and good things are going to happen for us. But if we get too low because of the way we performed individually and collectively, then that will turn into 2 to 3 to 4 or 5 losses if you're not careful. So I think we have to just have a real consistent approach to what we're doing, and just make sure that we're not beating ourselves.
Andrew?
Hey, Dusty, what stands out about this Purdue team?
The role definition. Braden Smith is he's a surgeon. His ability to make his teammates better, to make the right play. I was watching courtside when they lost to FDU in Columbus his freshman year, and to see his growth and back then, you could tell they pressed him the whole game. He was tired. He was winded. Now he never looks tired. He never gets sped up. You rarely see him make even a solid decision. He makes good decisions repeatedly. He knows what he's looking at. His ability to think the game and manipulate your defense. I could go on and on and on. And then Trey Kaufman-Renn, what a story. Where they have these guys go there with all these accolades and everything that goes with being a young player now who's really good, and they just become Purdue basketball. And now he waits his turn behind Zach Edey, who's an NBA starter, and now he looks like one of the best bigs in the country and one of the most efficient bigs in the country. So, and then Foster Loyer, I'm blown away at his development. He's gotten so much better as a player. He's more complete. He shoots it deep. He shoots it off the bounce from deep. He's mid-range. He has floaters now. And so it starts with those three, and then there's probably a couple guys on that bench that are playing a complementary role that we'll be talking about in a year or two in a similar fashion. So that's their culture. That's their, they have a real program.
We're on the left with Megan.
Vlad said post-game yesterday that there are no bad teams in the Big Ten. Right now, every single team is 500 or better. Do you think he's got a handle on the Big Ten teams?
No, not at all. No handle. Our league's so big. If you watch a team now and 3 weeks ago, or you look fast forward to 3 weeks, they could look completely different. An injury, an emergence, shooting slump. It's just us trying to figure out the best way for us to win the next game. But as we all know, college basketball, you have no idea. TCU's banged up. They're missing some guys. They go in and win at Baylor last night. It's just literally every single night at the Power 4, Power 5 level, whatever you call it. it's as unpredictable as ever, and the teams that hold it in the road and continue to get better will be the ones still standing.
Dennis?
So you talk about your philosophy on timeouts. There's some fans that are asking me about that think that you don't take as many as other coaches. I thought maybe it was a strategy this time of the year, building towards something later. Is there anything to that? Or?
Other than the data says, a good example is last year we're playing Arizona in Vegas, and they jump up 9-2, and I call a timeout, and then a couple minutes go by and they're up 18-2. It was 18-2, I believe, and the assistant said, "Hey, coach, use one." And I said, "I just used one, and they're on a 9-0 run." And so let's try to get this game loosened up, opened up, and it's knowing your team. There are times when I've said I should have called a timeout there, but there's also games where I look back and said I should have called a timeout there, and Vlad banged in a 3. I should have called a timeout there. Sometimes it's getting the game opened up to play in our environment. The choppier, this is just my opinion, with the teams that we've coached and the way we play, the choppier, the more stoppages in the game is bad for us. We want to get this game flowing, and you watch every other team play. After we score, they're running down, doing this to their team to hold them up because they want it to be choppier. So, I mean, I guess I could stop play 5 more times over the course of a game, but even there are times late in a game, you look out on the floor and they have their 2 best offensive players who happen to be their 2 worst defensive players in the game on our guys. It's okay, if I call a timeout now, they're going to bring in their 2 best defenders. They're going to control the matchup. What's better for us? Are we trained to play in flow, or do I want to stop and get their best defenders on our best defensive players and try to figure out what happens next? It's just, it is what it is. I mean, I know Phil Jackson got criticized for it. Coach Knight got criticized for it. I wish that there was that magic wand where you call a timeout and it immediately starts a 6-0 run, but the numbers say that's not the case.
Brock? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Dusty, so you can't look past Purdue on Friday, of course, but inevitably you're actually going to see them again pretty soon. What does it take more generally to beat a team twice in the Big Ten?
Possession by possession. I think if you beat a team twice, usually you match up well with them. Your strengths might be their weaknesses. Nothing more than that. How you counter what they did well against you in game 1. What adjustments can you make? Do you have time to make those adjustments? And do you have the personnel to make those adjustments? I mean, there's a lot of times when, man, this team really did this well. Well, they have a 6-7, whatever the case. So a lot of times, if your team doesn't have that, you can't mimic what Oregon did, or you can't mimic what Arizona did if you don't have their players and you have your players.
Alejandro?
You mentioned yesterday you want to be prepared for all special situations before the season starts. With the 4-5 ball screen, it seems like teams are attacking the roller, keeping their eyes on the flag. Do you feel like Danny has enough tools in his skill set to handle being a play creator, or how do you kind of balance giving him those tools with not putting too much on his plate?
Yes, and I think he's going to be able to figure out a lot of different situations. Having the smaller guards get underneath them and play with great physicality. He's going to have to trust some other things. Our execution spacing weren't perfect on a few of his possessions where we could make life a little bit easier on him. They changed their coverage as we called one play. They forced him into a certain direction, and the spacing wasn't perfect, so he just got to be a little more patient there. But the more reps he gets, the more different scenarios he gets. But yeah, and obviously when teams go into it, when they're going to game plan to stop this, then we're going to have to counter, and sometimes the counter is just skipping to a closeout, and then it's a read and react situation. Do you shoot it? Do you drive it? Do you keep the dominoes falling? And I didn't think we did a very good job of that last night. I thought we turned down some good looks, and we ended up getting lesser shots later in the possession.
Dennis, you want to close this out?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your 3 freshmen, how close they are. Do you like how the rotation is right now? And do you think you're going to need them here coming up more?
I do. LJ Kaysen had a really good week of practice. I thought going into the game that he was going to he was going to get an opportunity, but it just didn't shake out like that. If he continues to work and continues to progress, I think we'll see him getting some live game action here soon, and then hopefully takes advantage of it and plays good solid ball.
Okay, coach.
All right, thank you guys, appreciate it.